Good morning, everybody. This is Matt Hammond with IPO Warriors. We are live trading IPOs here today. We've got two on the market today coming to market. We've got OKYO Pharma and Visionary Education. The ticker for OKYO Pharma is OKYO. Visionary Education is VEDU. I'm getting here a little bit under rushed conditions, so give me a second to organize my workspace here. Gonna get this up and share the screen. Share screen. We're gonna share this screen, I guess. Actually, I'm gonna share this screen with you guys. That'll be easier for me. And then I will move this up here. Scratch that. What am I gonna do? I'll switch to another screen. Some of what I'm watching today. Good morning, Harry, JMFD. We got some familiar faces here. Got 12 people joining us so far. Let me stop that screen and share another screen. I'm going to share here and here and going to start this live show. While I do that, just to ensure that we don't miss anything, I'm gonna on my phone be watching these share imbalances. Hopefully we get some insights here, both from Visionary EdTech. They're both on the NASDAQ. And we are hoping that we're going to be able to see the pre-debut share imbalance with Webull. So I'm using Webull, got it on my phone right now. I'll bring up the mobile app in a second, or the desktop app in a second. Not seeing any indication on, not seeing any indication from Nzinga about exactly what time these are going to start trading. So if anybody has that information, please shout it out to the group. Sometimes we get that from others. And then I'm going to go ahead and share this link one more time on to my groups. So give me 1 second. Tube for VEDU and OKYO now. To my clipboard, get to my clipboard, that right there. Bring some more folks to the party. Got some chats going on there. Come over to the live stream, guys. All right, so we'll see if they actually, VEDU really could go live without giving us much of an imbalance. They might completely bounce on that. So let's do a quick review of what we're looking at today. We've got OKYO Pharmaceuticals and Visionary Education, VEDU. The things I'm going to be watching for on both of these is what is the volume on the opening print and what is the debut premium. So both of these are priced at $4. I'm going to be looking to see if any of them are priced, kind of in the sort of $8 to anywhere as high as like $16 range. Then it looks like we'll probably be getting a squeeze on that one. With OKYO Pharma, this one's been cut in half like twice. So it started about 2 months ago trying to go live, or about a month ago, with 1.9 million shares. Then they last week were trying to go live with about 900,000 shares, and now they're cutting it down to already 500,000 shares. This is a British biotech developing some kind of inflammatory eye disease solution. It looks to me like they're just trying to get to market at any cost. This company has, was a shell company as recently as 2 years ago. They were some kind of emerging metals limited corporation. And they've gone so far as to point out in their F1 that the information on their website, is only textual references. So, you can't really take any of that as part of their registration statement. and there is a clause in their F1 that basically allows them to dump up to 13.6 million shares rate, effectively with the IPO. So I wouldn't really be surprised if they tried to pump this into a debut premium and then just sell it off. If this does run, this one looks extremely dangerous to me. Probably we'll just watch this one. But it could move like AERC. I mean, it could debut at 20 and just have nothing traded until it reaches an absurd price point and then, get dumped off later on. So really, all of these are highly, okay. So VEDU 1035 quotation. Thanks there, ABC. That gives us some time. OKYO at 950. So we'll be seeing OKYO first. No orders taken on Webull. That's always kind of a bad sign. Then again, what we're playing for this one is to see if they, constrain the float and then, the volume and then just rip it themselves. So that is something we definitely look for. We try to see if it looks like, if it's not available, if it's a normal IPO and it's not available on all platforms, that's not a great sign. Certainly means demand won't be able to show up, and without demand, if supply is greater than demand, you're not going to see things go up. Visionary Education, this one, I didn't even spell that right. How annoying is that? This one came up last night. It wasn't really on the calendars, and so when we used to talk about stealth IPOs were, just like EJH, which was done by the same underwriter. The reason we called them stealth IPOs is because they really looked like they were trying to go unnoticed. They would show up on Thursdays or Fridays without any marketing, without being on the calendars. And the reason we kind of picked up on them was because we saw a couple IPOs that just ran like crazy. I think the first one was W&W. And it wasn't on account. It's like, how did I miss this? It priced at like $4 or $5 and ran up to like $150 by day 3. And it was just kind of like, I never even heard of it. Why is this so doing this? It was like Chinese traditional foods and medicines or something. And there's nothing about it that made any sense. And like I forget what the next one was, but it was kind of like, why are these doing this? And then we started keying in on them and getting in on them. And I made a ton of money on EJH. Was one of the first ones that I really picked up on. But they're stealth IPOs because they come to market without any announcement. They called them stealth because we felt like they were intentionally avoiding being promoted, which, doesn't really make sense. The whole point of an IPO is to raise money for the company, right? Well, if it's not, then what's going on? And why would you, embark on this hugely expensive and time-consuming, significantly important moment in a company's growth process to raise funds from the capital markets? Why would you do that without promoting it as much as you can? Wouldn't you want everybody to know about it? Wouldn't you make sure you were on all the calendars? Wouldn't you make sure that everybody was in on it? Well, if you're doing a stealth IPO, if you're not trying to get noticed, that's what would happen. All right, so we've got OKYO, we've got VEDU. I just want to show real quick what EJH did. EJH priced at $4, ripped up to, debuted at 16, ran to 80. So these are the kind of setups that we're looking at potentially. And we've had OST, we had JCSE. So we've had a couple of these in the last. Few weeks that really did rip off the debut. So we know that this is in play. OKYO. So I'm going to bring this up. We're going to switch over to this once it starts trading. The browser version seems to give me like faster data once it starts trading, but what's going on here? The desktop app gives me, close multiple tabs. The desktop app gives me the pre-debut imbalance, which is what I'm looking at here. So let's bring this up. OKYO. So log in. Sorry guys, I gotta take this over here to do my login. Okay. All right. So we're seeing a share imbalance at 450 with a buy side imbalance. So um, buy side, sell side kind of flipping, but not very high volume. I mean, if this is really just 500,000 shares, we got buy orders going all the way up here. And this is kind of what we're looking for. I'm interested in taking a little trade here. I'm not really liking some of my other positions, so I think I'm just going to sell some of this stuff. Give me 1 second. I got to manage a little bit here. Fucking, I'm gonna just dump this shit. All right, give me a second here, guys. I gotta manage some stuff. So, all right, $5 with 60. We do see the sell side imbalance keep coming up, but this is a debut premium, and that is kind of what we look for in these setups. So, okay. Sold some of that. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to dump one other thing. QILD. So, close. So, 50. Okay, whatever. So, okay. Now, 428. I don't know. This is interesting. I got some day trades available. Price for. We do see. I like this setup at this point. I'm not going to do anything too damaging here, but I feel like playing these. All right, Webull is taking orders right now. So if you feel like getting in on this, giving this a shot, I wouldn't go too big. You'll screw up the float anyway. But we do see a debut premium, but we do see a sell side imbalance. I'm seeing 450 on the sell side imbalance here. We've got about 50,000 shares paired up, 420. If it drops much more further, it's such a low float. I don't know what it's going to do. Honestly, this doesn't have a clear. I don't have a clear read. If you put $5, you'll definitely get in. It looks like, unless they switch things up in the next few minutes here. They are supposed to balance these for 10 minutes before they can take them live. These are not like traditional IPOs that will take hours and hours and hours to balance out. They will usually just go live as soon as they can. So in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, we should have this debut. We do have sellers like exiting, but it's not so bad that they're punching it down below the $4 level. I can't see make a whole lot of sense. There's a huge seller here at $5. Other people, this was available on Webull. So people who got allocations at Webull, especially if they just went through the ASNS kind of shit show, sorry. But that was a horrible IPO, and I definitely took a little loss there. But, that's what happens with IPO allocations. I think I'm pretty much going to apply my, my reasoning to not applying for E-Trade allocations anymore. Mainly that when they give me something, especially if they give me a full, like a reasonably sized allocation, it's because the IPO is garbage and I end up getting like a lot of trash instead of the good ones. They kind of like, where there's high demand, of course, they don't give it to me. They give it to institutional buyers. They give it as a reward to people who have, one thought, just I'm going to interrupt myself here. One thought here is when we see a sell side imbalance is to maybe try to undercut it. Unless we see it flip to buy side imbalance, and actually hold that, say, until it goes live. So 460, if you're at like 475 or whatever, if you want to get in, you might need to, up your bid a little bit. At the same time, when we see a sell side imbalance, that's when you can, I've never gotten anything good from it. Yeah, definitely. The first one that they actually gave me any allocation was actually, when this sell side imbalance has me a little bit, it's not a big one, but I kind of want to just like undercut instead of overcut. Is overcut a thing? Yeah, E-Trade gave me a DD, and that was doo-doo. They gave me D-Nut as well, and that was also actually did well on day one, but it wasn't something you wanted to be like holding for a while. So I don't know what to do with this one. This one's odd. I just want to play it. So what am I going to do? 485. DD was garbage. So those two, after getting those two, we're live. We're live. And we got an immediate halt up, which is cool. 450 to 495. All right. So if you set your so I believe I got in. Let me just make sure. Yeah. All right. So I'm in at $4.50 on the debut. This is halted up to 495. And, there's a big order sitting there at $5. But after that, pretty up until $6, not a lot of sellers there. This definitely is super low float. So, but at the same time, remember, we can't assume that this 508,000 shares here, that those are the only shares available to be sold. We saw in the F1 filings that there were, the option to dump an extra, I think it's like 13 million shares. The total shares out is 21 million shares. And I believe about 12 or 13 million of that can be sold, immediately on the IPO. So if we believe that the float really is only 500,000 shares, then we've already sold, 20% of the shares available traded on the, on the debut. So that on one hand would be kind of cool. On the other hand is, not something I'm going to hang my hat on here. But getting a halt up, that's a good start. If we see continued movement in that direction, I think that this can go as high as they want to pump it. Trading Fit Girl. Welcome, Allie. Hey, have a safe trip. We're in the middle of trading OKYO. Allie's joined me a few times in the past. She is Trading Fit Girl on Twitter and is now contributing to the IPO Warriors newsletter. So the newsletter goes out twice per week. We go and kind of describe all the IPOs that are on the calendar at the beginning of the week, give some ideas for how to possibly approach them. And talk about market conditions and anything we kind of see that looks fishy in the filings for each one. And now Ali's been adding a section down at the bottom, which is the lockup period expiration plays. Now those lockup expiration plays are where we see a lot of these kind of $4 or $5 dollar IPOs, crapcos, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, this might fly into. You are right. It could. Don't get greedy. These can come back down right as quickly as they fly up. But back to what Ali has been adding is these lockup expiration plays. The really interesting setups that
For a while, I was catching them kind of accidentally. I didn't really understand the fundamentals of why, or didn't have a good reason for what they were, what was causing these pumps. I just thought they would like randomly produce a headline and they were low float. And, that was as much of an explanation as I had. But Ali pointed out that there's not, that it's not just coincidental, that these were very likely almost certainly tied to the lockup expirations for insiders who both have warrants at a specific strike price, but also just, insiders who had purchased, or acquired shares prior to the IPO, wanting to boost the share price before they were able to, cash in on their positions. So Ali puts the LPX plays, which are usually 90 days or 180 days after the IPO, where a lot of these stocks have IPO'd at say $4 or $5. If they ran at all, they've now given up those runs and are trading kind of in the $1 to $2 range. She looks to accumulate kind of well before the LPX, since they tend to walk up a little bit into the LPX. But to be sitting on these positions at near bottoms, so that when the headlines come along that the insiders release to boost the share price, that she's already sitting in those positions, and her targets are pretty insane. I mean, she's not looking for plays that can't deliver in the 300% range. So she's worth a follow. She's worth putting on your Twitter list. Definitely worth reading everything she puts out, including the newsletter. And I've got links to the newsletter, to her trading guides that she's put out that are paid guides that really give a really great introduction for not just LPX plays, but trading in general. You'll learn a lot about the fundamentals behind the market through reading her stuff. So I highly encourage you all to get to know her strategies. But back to OKYO. So we are now getting towards, I'm going to look up when this halt started. This was a 10 o'clock halt. We're looking at, this one says resumption quote time. And they've added I don't know, it doesn't tell me anything. Okay, so we still don't know. They don't give us, I mean, they'll tell us now. So here what I'm looking at is NASDAQ trade halts. NASDAQ trade halts give us a list of the stocks that have halted during the day. And this is actually the first ones, W and W. Where those got on my radar was just looking at what had halted. I mean, these could easily just go, we do have trade at 10 o'clock. Visionary. And I'll show you something else here in a second. Someone else fed this to us, but we did have this information at our disposal, although not in time to really help for OKYO. But here we can see, okay, well, at 10 o'clock, the halt started. Typically, there's going to be 20-minute halts on the first halt. Sometimes there'll be 10, sometimes it'll be 30 or 40. And they don't have to be. We saw a couple that halted for like 12 minutes. So they don't have to be round numbers like we think. But now is the time when you want to kind of think about what your strategy is. If you want to hold through another halt, I'm willing to give this one another halt up, at least one. I might start shedding some of my position after that. But this does, I can see level 2 here with pretty high buys at 6. It's not a bad idea to set an order. I'm going to actually follow this advice myself, is to set a sell order to lock in your gains. If we don't see immediate halts up, then we're going to want to, once this starts kind of going sideways, it could go either way. So if I see it hit 5 and then not break through that, or it doesn't break through the halt, I'm going to try to, I'm going to have a trade already in my, I got my phone down here. I'm going to set up my, I'm setting up a trade to just click confirm, and then I'm like, I'm out. So that kind of tripped me up. I failed to get that, follow my advice on that last time with, forget which one that was, but what are we doing here? Are we moving yet? No. But yeah, it's kind of like the zip cord. When things start crashing, you just want to get out of the airplane as fast as possible. All right, so 10-minute halt, indicating 560. Okay, you guys, NASCAR, is that on trade 0? Where are you seeing that? And Zintis, I'd love to know where you're getting this. Can you guys shout out which tools you're using to see this data? All right. So hearing 1010 from Zintis K. Thanks for providing that info. 585. So we're seeing things creep up a bit. Likely to see another halt if it's actually going to break through that $5 level. This could get moving pretty fast. You guys want to start thinking about where is your, what is your target? What are you trying to, what's going to make you feel good on a Tuesday to take some profits and, go about the rest of your day. We've got a 5 TD Ameritrade. Okay. CMEG 6 now. Okay. Well, if we're getting through 6, then we're getting pretty deep into the order book. If I go down here, we've got a pretty big sell wall here at 5 with 64,000 shares. I can't see as far as 6 here. So, that I believe had another sell wall. If we get above 6, then there's not going to be a lot of sellers above that until, until we dip into, the shares that are held by insiders. So let's see what we get here in a minute. Should be any second now. Definitely the waiting on halts can be a bit tense, and certainly trading IPOs is a different speed than trading just about anything else. I can't think of another. I mean, even day trading headlines, yeah, you're rushing in, but you're chasing, a headline after it gets published. I'm trying to see quickly 616. You're verifying what the news is. Is it a big deal? What the float you're trying to do, very quickly, but the stock's moving while you're doing it. Whereas IPOs, you kind of have the time in the pre-debut to be adjusting your bid and getting in, and then it's going to go live. At some point, these low float ones, you can expect them to go live pretty close to 10 minutes after they start pricing. The mainstream IPOs where they've got 20 or 30 million shares, those can take hours. And that also feels a bit different. But once it goes, it's like the starting gun goes off, and things are moving fast. Okay, 550, 590, 590. It's moving up, and it looks like we got another halt. Yeah. All right, so now we're in the second halt. We got in at 450. Now we're at 611. Bids on VEDU real big. Limit orders. Okay, we're gonna get back to the VEDU, I think, by the time we get out of this one. So we are up considerably here, and I think I'm going to say thank you at this point, and get back to my habits of taking profits when I'm up. Could this go? Could this go up a lot further? Sure. We've already seen 300. I mean, I can't say that I've seen what, more than half the float trade out of 2 halts. So could this keep ripping up? Sure. I mean, there's almost no more shares being sold off here. This could go quite a bit, further. But the reality is lurking out there is a very large block of shares that can sell off the other way once they reach a point where they've decided that it's time to pull the rug. So we're not seeing bids that are crazy high right now. We're seeing pretty balanced around 6. It could move down 585. So 6 may have been the limit. It might reverse down and then continue up. They might shake some people out. But let's see how this goes. I have 2 different accounts. Webull gave me a false margin call over the weekend, so I'm strongly considering just getting out of them entirely. Them not supporting this You know, not supporting up 654 now. It's coming back up. Them not supporting the another one here today with I guess they don't even have VEDU available for pre-order. That's very typical of Webull on IPOs to kind of have messed up the the ticker symbol. So we're seeing strength here. If it's showing 654, then that's it's at a 450 entry, a 654 out. That's a nice, to me, 2-point win on it's more than 50% of your, little less than 50% on the trade. Will this keep going up? Yeah, really could. But my first rule of trading is to take profits with no regret. That means that you take profits when you feel comfortable taking profits. It is so much better than taking losses, of course. So when people say, "Oh, I shouldn't have sold out," it was, it went up to 20. So we didn't know it was going to go to 20, and you could sell half here, and then hold the other half to see if it goes further, or sell 80%. You don't have to sell everything all at once, but take profits without regret. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is don't chase. If you miss the debut on this, don't. It's really like the higher it goes, the more I am certain it will come down further than that. So don't go chasing something because you missed it. Wait for the next play. When things have already taken off, you've kind of missed the opportunity here. This is not something that I like to, I learned it by burning myself, saying, "Oh, this is gonna now we're on the way up to 20." No, it doesn't have to be. It could go to 50. I don't know. These are weird. There's clearly something going on. They just wanted to get this to market, and they have. So 680, 715. Yeah, this is going to climb up, and really, like, I mean, as long as buyers keep pumping it until that, until the insiders decide that they've reached the point where they want to dump it. My theory on this one was that, okay, they just want to get to market with, a really small float. They don't even care. I mean, they raised what, $2.5 million on this. I mean, that's barely worth doing an IPO unless you're going to try to run it and then dump your shares and cash out. So that's what we hypothesized could happen. That's what I believe is happening here. How far will they take it? I really don't know. Will shorts try to come in and try to, but if there aren't shares to short, unless they went and lent them out to somebody on an end around, which kind of feels like what happened with ASNS. ASNS, I have heard some things. They are just rumors, really. That, like HTCR, Boasted has some kind of rat or skunk in its hole who is taking shares and lending them out to shorts. What we saw on the ASNS pre-debut indication was really interesting. We saw it, kind of pricing down at like 320, 325, and it was kind of like, that's what a broken IPO looks like. And then all of a sudden, like a few minutes before it went live, it went to 390. And the float went from, the volume went from 350,000 shares to 650. It's like all of a sudden someone put an order for 300,000 shares, way above the indication price. And who would do that other than, say, the underwriter? And then it still fell off from there. So SNS looks to be broken. It ran a little bit this morning. I do wish I had taken that opportunity to just dump at 245. I was down to 265 by that point, but I just dumped out at like 2 just now. Took the loss and put it into OKYO. I don't really want to be in that for longer than, say, day 3. I still think, if that was the only pump we got, then really we can give up about. We can give up on that one. VEDU pre-order may be ready at 11. I think the pre-order we saw was at 10:30. So let's go back to that one. We had it on Benzinga. They said VEDU It's going to start pricing at 1035, and then it will start trading at about 1045. So if you're asking me at what price will it open, we'll be able to see. So I don't need to bother about guessing it. If they open at 11 or 12, that's certainly interesting. I'll roll, hopefully I can get out of OKYO with the win here. And then roll into VEDU if we see that one go. That one's certainly set up for shenanigans, but if Weeble's not supporting it, sometimes we're able to. Here, let's do this. Let's bug Weeble with a tweet at Weeble. Seriously, if it weren't for the 4 a.m. trading, I would get out of Weeble completely because they seem to mess up a lot of these IPOs. And after sending me like a false margin call over the weekend, I was pretty unhappy with having to mentally process what I was going to do on Monday morning and then log in and not even have a margin call anymore. They put my whole account in margin call because their bookmaker or something miscalculated the margin requirements for one of my positions, and they basically wiped my margin. But then and said, "Oh, you need to deposit an insane amount of money into your account by Monday." It's like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Again, messing up the an IPO ticker on the debut. VEDU not available for placing a limit order prior to the opening trade. Get it together. All right, who's bugging me on Twitter here? Hold on, responding to somebody. All right, so we're back here. Anybody got the opening time for OKYO? 624, 615. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm out. I got out. I said, thank you. So I'm out at 578. In at 450, out at 578. All right. 450. 450. What the hell? 450 over 578. Okay, so like a 28% win or something. Whatever. Not bad. I mean, your expectations can get unrealistic in this in trading these setups. So you can't always be getting a 200% win. But we've been online for 40 minutes and took a 28% win on our money. Not bad. Happy to get out. So I got out by setting a limit order. I was very conservative and said, okay, well, I'm going to take just 495 was the last halt. So I'm just going to say at 495, I will set my limit order there. I could have put it at $1. I could have put it at, $5. That was not, where I put my limit order. As long as I made it lower than where it opened, I was insured to get out. So basically, decided not to go for the greedy hope that it would just run to 10. Said, all right, one halt is really, I mean, it was almost guaranteed to halt once. The second halt was highly likely. As you go through halts, every additional halt up increases the likelihood that that is the top, because there is a top at some point, and we simply don't see 5, 6, 7, 8. They don't halt forever up. This one has halted down now. I expect there to be some panic in the water now. And if so we've already seen the volume now hit, has already broken the free, what was stated as the free float. So if we really believe that the float is, only at 508, then now we're at a point where shares are starting to be retraded. Could this reverse the other way? Definitely could. But I want to be out. Like, I want to be out at the top of the first red candle. That's pretty much what I did this time. So cool. Just took my ASNS loss and turned it into more or less, I guess you could say it's a wash at this point. But SNS really should have bailed on that one, sooner. And now we know Boasted is busted. They are not the magic tooth fairy that they once were. They are a also ran kind of underwriter, much like Think Equity or Maxim or Aegis. If they've got if there's a China tie to the play, then interesting. If they have signs of being a stealth setup, that's also good. So OKYO didn't really have a Chinese angle. It was so bad. Everything about it was so bad that when everything is bad and the float is super low and they're just desperate to go live, that's kind of a sign that something's up. And when something's up, I kind of want to be in it. I remember saying the same thing about AERC. The debut on that one was too crazy for me. But I said, if anybody tries to do an IPO on the half day before Thanksgiving, that's just too weird. And it was weird. It opened up at 40 and went to over 100. But then it swang heavily from 60 to 90, back to 60 to 90, 100 again. And then one day it was game over, rug pull. And now it's at, what is it at? JCSC. No, sorry, AERC. Oh, it's at $2, and it's been as low as $1.78. So, just to give you an idea of how badly these can do, because we're looking at it for later in the day. EJH is now at 41 cents. And I talk about this because it's the same underwriter as VEDU. And we saw EGH, I think this is priced at $4 or $5, and then opened at 16, ran up to 54 by the end of the day on an end of day run. The next day, it spiked up to 80, 93, and then crashed back down to the 30, 40. And what does EH do? They're literally a laundering company. And yeah, liquidation days, exactly. Think about when they have those liquidate on days. Okay. You asked me, can you go over thoughts on ARC? What were the tells for you that day, or thoughts in general? What made it, okay, so there were a bunch of tells, and I kind of came close to playing it, but ultimately it was just shook my head, and I almost wish I hadn't seen it because it set me up to take a huge loss on VEDU. I was just in a bad frame of mind as well. AERC had incredibly low allocations, so it was available for allocation request on Webull, and they gave 2 shares to everybody. It was, another indication was that the opening volume was tiny. The opening trade was something like, it was like 8,000 shares. It was really, really small. And during the pre-trade imbalance, usually we see, a couple thousand shares on the buy side or the sell side. And like the imbalance was literally like 10 shares, 15 shares, 2 shares, 200 shares, instead of like thousands of shares in the imbalance. It was a really, really small imbalance. The next thing was in that case, it was the incredibly high allocate debut premium. So I like to see a healthy debut premium on these. If OKYO had been below the IPO price, I would have said no. This is, with that kind of buy side sell side switching, I would have said nah. No, I can't do that. But all right, let's start seeing VEDU. I'm not seeing heavy buy side. I'm seeing. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. That there's no sellers here at all. I'm not seeing a high premium though yet. That might come in later. But yeah, we are seeing things start to warm up. I really with AERC, it was just that there was you could see that there weren't a lot of sellers, there weren't a lot of shares being actively traded there. So it actually halted up on really low volume as well. I mean, by the time it had halted from 40 to 50 to 60, and people started like coming into it starts showing up on the halt screeners. People look. I showed you that NASDAQ page. People have their Twitter accounts. They have their services people pay for to get SMS alerts. So people get these alerts for the screeners for halts, and that brings people into it. But I don't like to chase at that point. If it's halted once, maybe if the news is huge, someone got FDA approval, or but really you're breaking rule number 2, which is don't chase. You want to be in positions before they run. I want to be in OKYO before the debut premium, because if you got in after the halt, if you chased after that first halt, then you got in at 555 and it halted again, and now you're either like kind of panic selling, just hoping to get out at 578, or you're already underwater as it's reversed down the other way. So that's a perfect example of why I think it's a bad idea to chase on these plays. So now we have a little bit of time here. Order modifier. Sell. Sorry, just checking some things here. I end up with a ton of notifications when I'm modifying the order. Okay, so if you're still in OKYO, does anybody have a read on the open there? Love it if you guys throw that up into the chat. And I'm going to take this break to tell you guys about another project I'm involved with called thesound.com. Thesound.com. We raise money for 480 and halting. Okay, OKYO is opened again. It's come back to that 430 level. Let's see if they sell it off yet. If the insiders, because at this point you've got day traders who bought in on the debut that have liquidated. You've got maybe some of the insiders that took their profits, but we're almost. I mean, we're at the point now where this could either break down or fly back up. We have seen these touch down and then take off again. So under 450, is there resistance? Is there a point at which people say, no, I'm not selling for a loss today? Volume's still pretty healthy here. We had 100,000 shares there. A lot of activity. If it can get back up above 5, it looks like it could run again. That it's not just being completely dumped is encouraging if you're still in it. Yeah, QH was another one of those early ones. I think that was one of the ones that put things on my radar for me. All right, it got past 5. Now it's got pretty clear sailing if buyers continue to push it up. If they put an algo on this, it will run again. I mean, was $6 enough? Was that what people were hoping for? I'm seeing what looks like, yeah. So we've been halted again to the upside. All right, they're pushing that one back. QH, actually, I don't remember if I did. There were a string of those in a Chuho daily. I may have actually and gotten in and out on a single one, but yeah, I mean I must have. It was in that time period early on, and I think I forget how many halts it did up. That one opened at 1531, got to a high of 23. So I believe I did trade that one. Wow, you got a big allocation from E-Trade. I wasn't getting allocations from them at that point. That's a nice day. Yeah. The best one I did was TIRX. I got in on TIRX for 1,000 shares, and it opened at 16, halted to 17, and then opened up at 50 on a 3-hour halt. And during that 3-hour halt, I was just like, "This is too scary." I'm like, "Are they like delisted or like uh, what the hell happened?" So I just like put in a limit order, and then it filled at 49.99, and I was like, "What?" That was crazy. So there's big money to be made on these. That's for sure. You can also, if you pick the wrong ones, I picked CDU and lost like $100,000 in one trade. So I can't. That was just a stupid setup. I had COVID. My dad was in the hospital. My wife just got pregnant. I was not in a good. I should have taken the day off, but well. I've made more than that trading these. So even with the huge loss, I've managed to make a considerable amount of money just by trading these debuts. OKYO. It's gonna be a halty day if volume. If this is one of those things where they really should mandate that they, like, if you're gonna tell people what the free float is, there should be some process by which they update this in real time if more shares have been introduced to the market. Because if you're trading this operating on the idea that there are only 500 and 8,000 shares, and the volume's already traded 834,000 shares with demand and volume, this should be volatile all day. But if there's someone in the background just adding more, adding more shares to the float, then this is never gonna, then this is likely the top of it. But I'm not sure what's happening here. 520. That's not a very like strong indication for where this is going. Maybe they'll let it baseline for a while and then run it into the end of the day. Clearly, the concept that insiders are just waiting to dump 13 million shares of this at a nice premium hasn't materialized yet. We haven't even had 1 million shares trade. So clearly, the rug pull has not come yet. Until that rug pull comes, anything could happen. I would expect that they would try to push it upwards. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, it's not legal to all get together and say, okay, we're all going to hold until this price. But if it's just one person, then one person can do that. Two people can certainly wink and nod at each other and say, no, not yet. Anyway, let's go back over to VEDU and see what we're getting there. VEDU. Okay, starting to see some stuff there. I'm going to pull in the desktop on this one. Maybe we can actually get. Okay, Sometimes if I do that, it'll bring me what I'm looking for on OKYO. I don't know why Webull can't show us this in the crossing. That would be a very helpful feature. VEDU. So we believe that VEDU should start showing us the balance here soon, no? OKYO 520, anything from VEDU yet? It's 1036. Where are you, VEDU? Webull may have just, screwed this one up completely. So trade by the bid says $50. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's say like 15. Let's say 100. Okay, so we're still getting Webull invalid parameter on VEDU, and they are not showing us the indication price. So Webull has proven to be once again useless when it comes to trading this IPO, which is unfortunate because it looks kind of interesting, and I'd love to trade it, but thanks to, there are no sell orders on VEDU. That is kind of crazy. Let me check over on E-Trade. OKYO is holding, profitable for those who, it's not a losing trade yet for if you bought on the debut. Checking E-Trade here. VEDU is available on, but not getting any indication price here. I'd say you'd probably have to go at like 13 maybe to try to get in on this. Yeah. Do like 200. All right. Price target? There's no price targets on this. OKYO, gave us $6 off a $4 IPO. That's 50% upside. After that, I don't know. Is $30 possible? Well, anything is possible. Usually we would have seen that spike on the opening, like on the opening run, and we didn't see that. So it would be a pretty late push on it, and I don't see them. I see people kind of accumulating and holding it at 5 and at 480 and at 460. Maybe they do it on day 2, they pump it, but really don't know what's happening in this one because of the the way that this deal was set up. So over here, if I was to guess at what's going on with VEDU, there's a lot of orders here at like 8,000, 13, 10, or 13, 12, 12, 13. It's looking like it could open up there, but not getting any indication here. So you're going to be flying in the dark, but that there, nobody's selling. That's always an interesting setup. So I'm going to see what I can get away with here with like 1355. Here you go. Place order. View order. So I'm just kind of taking a shot in the dark here on a VEDU at 13 plus. See what happens. We should have something here in a few minutes. Out. VEDU definitely looks like it's going to halt one way or another. I'm looking at ASNS for. I mean, to me, OKYO looks like the volume's dying off. Once volume dies off on these, it's no longer halting around. It's trading in a, still above IPO, but at some point, people who, those 13 million shares, likely to say, okay, well, either I'm an owner of this company, I'm going to hold it, or, um, I'll take my $5 and that's it. That it hasn't broken down below the IPO price is nice, but that could happen in any minute. Someone could come in and say, all right, I'm out, and sell 2 million shares. Although I guess there's not that much of a buy of a book here to hold that. So very difficult to. I tend to see this being the spike. If there was to be another run, I would expect it to be towards the end of the day, but unpredictable. Hard to say. Is anybody else seeing anything for 13 is the maximum? 13 is where I think VEDU could open. I see the most orders in right there. There's only, I mean, if this is to believe, then the sell orders are only, less than 3,000 shares being offered for sale. That would put the opening price up in like 15, 16, which isn't crazy either. I mean, we've certainly seen that. That's been sort of a standard opening price for these, 15 to 16. People kind of putting their bids up there, but just don't see any shares for sale. OKYO holding that range, so yeah, upside's still possible. I'm not going to chase it at this point. I got in on the debut at 450, sold up here on the open of the second halt. That's as much of a play as I feel like taking on it. Now we are waiting and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, ouch. Not much going on over here on OKYO. Meanwhile, ASNS has just fallen off a cliff. Not a pretty looking IPO. And if I'm going to go to a 4 grid, I should go to 3 grid. ASNS. Nothing here. Still accumulation at 180. I guess the shorts have gone away. Still somebody capping it at 188. Big spread there, but it's just kind of another bad IPO for on Bosted's books. This one, we're seeing somebody picking off pretty much exactly what's being offered at 15. And then after that, 13. Not seeing like a heavily loaded buy side here. So I don't really love what I'm seeing there. Could go either way. They could open it up high and drop it. Not going for a big enough position to panic too much if it goes the other way. But we'll see. We're getting towards 348 here, so wondering if they just don't have enough shares to go live. VEDU supposed to open at 10:45. Not seeing any quotes. Not seeing it on Webull. So they could literally be calling up people who got allocated shares and saying, hey, we need you to release a few more shares so we can take this live. I heard from some people on AERC that they got actually called up by the book runner saying, hey, can you please like sell off some shares so we can go live with this. Webull, it may take one business day. It's like you missed the whole point, Webull. Thanks for nothing. It is uncharacteristic for it to take for this to go longer than, say, a couple minutes beyond the when they started pricing it. They usually they have to take 10 minutes as I understand it, but after that it's usually like pretty punctual. I mean, how long does it take to pair up 2000 what is it, 2,810 shares? That's all that's in there. 2,810 shares. The buy side. I mean, if they don't get more shares in this, they're going to have to debut it, and then there'd be no more shares to buy. Or no, but yeah, be completely empty. Are we seeing anything over here? No, definitely stealth looking. You got no sell orders here. Otherwise, you're going to have what? 17? You could open at like 17, 18, and then no shares left. Then you could get rug pulled. There could be no buyers at all. Be hard to get out of the position at that point. 13 is the first real block of buyers. Definitely an odd look to a debut. OKYO has traded now 1.1 million shares, basically, doubling the float that we were told anyway. Volume has kind of fallen off. It's quite the spread as well. But sellers kind of seem to be wanting to hug that $5 range. Doesn't mean someone won't. I mean, we're still profitable. So if that starts to fall, we could have panic sellers, and there aren't. We talked about this before, that there is a clause in the F1 that allows people to I take after George Clooney. I've never heard that one before. I've gotten Matt Damon and a few others, but that was probably just because I was in some kind of remote parts of Asia where I don't think people saw a lot of European complexion to begin with. So thank you, though. Let's see. What do we have going on? I'm so tempted to like just up it to get into it, but ooh. All right, I was talking about the sound.com before. Go to the sound.com and put on, if you have Apple Music or Spotify, just stream the music there. When you stream the music on from the sound on Spotify or on Apple Music, it raises automatically. You don't pay anything. But the royalties that Spotify pays us, we use most of that money for dog rescue efforts. So when you play a song, you save a dog at thesound.com. And it's pretty. We got a lot of like background music, just light piano music. You can put it on while you listen. If it's on Spotify, you can put it just above mute, not on mute, but just above mute. And every time you play a song, it helps generate about 0.3 cents per song. The songs are about 1 to 2 minutes long. Pretty relaxing stuff, actually. So, check it out, thesound.com. Play a song, save a dog. And we are waiting for VEDU. They just don't have any shares available. This is kind of what AERC looked like, but I can't see the share imbalance, so I'm playing with running blind a little bit here. Okay, we got kind of twin candles there. Some people would say that's a reversal signal, but I'm not much of a chart reader. If volume starts coming in, we know that there's limited supply or supposedly limited supply on this. So if they do have an algo lined up to jump into this at some point, it could move pretty quickly. But it's sitting where it's sitting for now. It did bounce off that 430 level after, and that was out of a halt. So that might have just been a bunch of people panic selling who had either bought, where they got allocations through Webull or had bought on the debut and realized they had held too long. But we are at we have doubled or nearly, I guess, doubled what was the float here. Once we get to 1.16, then I guess we're at double 1.6.26. Then we'll be at double the float. But I usually see like kind of the turnaround point being when we've reached the float. So we don't really know a whole lot about which way this is going from here yet. VEDU is testing our patience. We have those orders that were, we still have that 15 order that's kind of just matching the float. Looks like we got someone else coming in with asks at 19 and 20 and 39, which is just, I'm not going above. 16 seems to be kind of like the cutoff, 16 something, so 17 maximum. After that, we see these are setups like, what were some of the ones? SNTG. There's a couple that have debuted at like TKLF. A couple of these that have debuted at like 40 and they just fall off. And that was part of the reason why ERC was not one that had the right setup I want. VEDU showing 39.99. Yeah, no thanks. That's definitely not. That is definitely where I'm going to cancel my. If it opens at that, it'll halt down, and we'll have a chance to cancel anything we had in at 15 or 13. But 39.99. Xantis, you're on Interactive Brokers, or you're on TD Ameritrade? All right, so 39.99 is just untouchable. Do not do that to yourself. Hold on, I got somebody trying to call me here. I want to call. Very, very interested to see where this goes. CME. Is that one that opened way high? Yeah. I think JZXN was another one that did that. Yes, that's just crap. Let's go to a 4 grid so I can pull up some other random stuff. JZXN.
currently trading around $1. JZXN opened at 45, halted up to 49, and closed the day at 18.62. And proceeded to pretty much just suck ever since then. I mean, it has these little spikes, but you're talking about, $1.50 to $2, or like $1.24 to $2. Yeah, TKLF was another one of those. So at some point, it's just not, man, there's just no upside to that. What we're looking for in these stealth plays are generally ones that open up around anywhere from kind of 11 to 16, and then just rip up, 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 up. They can go the other way. Hoodie actually priced at like 5, opened at 8, and fell for, I think it was like a couple weeks actually before something happened and they turned that thing around. But that was much later. It was like, I think 180 days later. Hoodie opened at 9, dropped and closed at 7, traded all the way down to like 283, and then like, and this is one of those, this is kind of like, okay, October, opened in January, yeah, so going into like LPX. It's kind of what Ali's always talking about. Then it ran into 35, 32. I don't know how it's held on all this time. It's had some days where it just halts all over the place. VEDU is, yeah, SNTG was Hoodie, JZXN. Yeah, so when we see that, it's just kind of like, in the the whole theory that I've had behind these and why they, why do they do this? Why do they why do they IPO just to rip the price up and then sell off like that? Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense as a money laundering play. If you're trying to move money out of China or out of, one country into another, one way to do that is to set up a bunch of bank accounts. Okay, it looks like VEDU might be trading now. Yeah, it is. Okay, so VEDU opened at 28. It's dropped down into a halt at 25.20. So I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want my order to get filled. So give me a second, and I'm going to cancel the limit order that I had, because I don't want to get. I don't want to touch this. I mean, these can reverse, but I'm not trying to figure out where or when or if. I am just saying, like, that's just too high. You can't. Okay, 6,000 shares traded. So what's going to happen now is people who got allocations, the few and lucky, are probably going to take some profits now. I would, if I got, any size allocation on this, I'd be saying, okay, goodbye. Where is support here? Maybe 13, maybe 13.50, maybe 4.50. So I don't know. I just know that it's a $4 company that has some like animation school in Canada run by some, half the, okay, now it's open. Oh, great. Yeah. So less than 8,000 shares. It's like, it's just, when you see that few shares traded, it's, on one hand, it's like, yeah, thanks you guys. Thanks for joining us. You can also, if you feel like contributing, I am doing all of this stuff so far at no, not, I don't charge anything for the newsletter even yet, although that I expect to change in the somewhat near future. There'll be huge discounts for everyone in my groups. But yeah, I am probably going to need to monetize some of this because it takes time.
to write all this stuff up, and I pay out of pocket for things like the the newsletter service. So now we're at a point where I have outgrown the free, the free service, and now it's to the point where we are, um, where I'm spending money to do these. So if you do feel like making a contribution or donation, that is the link to my GoFundMe page. I have a baby due in the next month. I have relocated from Ukraine right before the war, so every little bit helps. And appreciate those of you who have supported me in the past. I know people are generally more generous after delivering some wins. So we did get a win on OKYO. Not quite the same setup on VEDU, but we managed not to get into it, and that's half the battle is not losing money. Got to make money when we have opportunities to make money. Got to stay away from the losers, and we have done that successfully today. OKYO just dipped below 450. So that is, we are at the turning point where if you bought the debut, you are now red. You really should not have gotten that situation to begin with you. So, and now we are seeing it sell off. You really should not have held past, about these halts. If you got into this point and you're playing it while it's freely trading, and you're in a green position, you definitely want to be setting stop losses. Stop losses will, save your account, lock in the wins. No reason to turn a win into a loss. Something I have learned too much. So when you are up in a position, no matter what it is, when you're way up, take some profits off the table, set some stop losses, buy insurance on it, protect your capital. That was my biggest lesson of the past couple years or the past 2 years has been, when you're up, pay yourself. When you're in a winning position, lock in that win. All right. VEDU has, looks like, come back. Back up. No. I want to stay with you guys through. I want to see this move a little bit more, but no, we are still in the halt. OKYO kind of hanging out here. 1.27 million shares. That looks like somebody sold off like 60,000 shares on the way down there. Might have been dropping off. Sometimes you see these drop off before they can run again. They kind of like clear out the the sellers and then rip it. But I can only say that there's no safe level down on any of these. These are all infinite, black holes for losses. So these are $4 IPOs that were probably lucky to be $4 to begin with. Reminding you of Akan, yeah. Akan did what VEDU. VEDU does kind of have that look to it, but then Akan, as I remember, dropped down. Let's see, Akan, 3 minute, and Akan now is $1.18. So Akan was like a cannabis out of Lesotho, Africa. I mean, it was another one of those just so weird you had to watch it, and it was Bosted. So Bosted still gets some deals where the IPO is, worth getting an allocation if you can. But again, your allocation is going to be minimal if it's a good one, and maximum if it's crappy. So you have to be careful with asking, for too much. You might get more than you wanted. Or you definitely will get more than you wanted if it's a good one. If it's a bad one. And if it's a good one, then you're not going to get as much as you wanted. Can has been one of the weirdest because it actually kept like coming back. So can, this is, I think we're at the I think, yeah, okay, a can sold off. These bounces are so impossible to catch. I mean, you're playing with live, live munitions at that point, live incendiaries. Yeah, kind of, but this is a very risky play too. 9, and then okay, well, it ran to 18, 19, almost 20. Pretty tough to call that. We tried to call that with ASNS and didn't get it, and it's not looking pretty at this point. Another one we looked at was TKLF. Currently at $1.54. What I really want to impress on you guys is that these are all going into the dollar barrel. These all end up in the dollar bin. Sometimes they'll pop a little bit from there. Once in a while, you get something like SOPA that'll rip, way later. But for the most part, or hoodie. But for the most part, these just stay in the dollar bin for a long time, and sometimes go below that, and then have to do reverse splits to stay active, or just say screw it, game's over. We got what we wanted. We're delisting, whatever. Let's see what's going on here. And this is like the point I'm trying to make is here is like after the IPO debut, understanding the LPX play is one move. You can get some opportunities there. But after that, like these are not companies to own for the long term. No. TNON, don't do it. Risk reward. Downside is not IPO price. Downside is $1. Bounce right at 13. Yes, you are right. That's what I'm trying to look at here. And we see that there has been a buyer at 13 on VEDU, but it's gone now. Now they're coming up to 18. Just super risky, guys. The setup we're looking for is OKYO. We saw, slightly, above we knew the float was low. We knew the IPO price was $4. We saw the, strong enough demand to, to make it worth the gamble. Volume was not blown out on the open. And, that was the, that was the setup. TKLF. Trying to get back to, let's go to the 15. It's taking too long. I have too many things going on my screen. It's hogging up all the bandwidth. Okay, here we go. Yeah, TKLF was, bounced around. I mean, you could have tried to pick off the 20 to 32 bounce. You could have tried to pick off the 13 to 37 bounce. But what if there is no bounce? There's 4.3 million shares, 6,000 shares have traded. It's guesswork, and you can try to guess, but you're putting chips on the roulette table, and maybe it goes your way, but this, ultimately this isn't a play that goes up in the long term. So you're betting against a reverse current, a very short term reversal, and that's not the play I want to. I mean, I guess you could say we're doing that on the open with OKYO, but even OKYO, you're not that far down underwater yet, and you had time once it halted down to even when it halted down, you could have gotten out at 480 out of the halt. It can go the other way too, but remember, yeah, exactly. JCSC, no bounce. Mhua, I don't think there's much of a it bounce initially. Um, it went up, and there was a halt down here, and then it came up again. But that was in at 10, down to 842. Then it bounced, and then yeah, on the way back down here, man, you're just guessing. You're guessing. Oh, is this the bottom? Is this where is this one the bottom? No, maybe it's the bottom here. No, down, 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 and then you're stuck. So I don't like these. I don't like to play them after the after that. Looking to buy a flush in the low teens out to halt that. I'll take a stab. Yeah, I mean, I hope you get it. It'll be halted for a long time here. It's probably a 20-minute halt. I'm probably going to take a break in about, yeah, TNON. You want to see TNON? TNN still has a lot of room to fall, I can say that much. I don't know. I wouldn't say this is a TNON setup necessarily. I haven't seen a lot of them follow that TNON setup. Could be. I mean, and what, you're going to buy it and hold it for what, to tomorrow? Or are you going to hold it for weeks? I mean, that was this one's been an anomaly. That it ran all the way to 60 is kind of crazy, and then from there it just got rocked over 3 days. Bam, down to 37. Held for a day. Bam, 25-ish. Now it's at 5. So I don't have a very good way to forecast what things are going to do, especially these. There's, the mainstream IPOs in a hot market. We were seeing these day 2 runs overnight. TDoc was a great, or not a TDoc. What was it? DocX. That was, or Docs, DOCS. You're asking about price target on OKYO. I don't have a price target. My price target, where it's going, $1.20. I don't know. Is it going to rip or run? I don't know. The play is over for me. NASCAR all out. If you have an opinion on it, feel free to chime in. These are all just, ideas and opinions. Nothing's trading advice. But my opinion is don't chase. Take profits when you're up. And, generally, if I see this kind of setup, if I just itching to play it again, I'm going to wait till about 2:30 in the afternoon and see if I can get a run into the close. If people have been shorting it, they'll have to, or if they're day trader, they're probably close their position. Other people might just buy it up into the close. We've seen these run in the end of day that used to be somewhat predictable, but we just haven't seen things be all that predictable recently. Things get the setups get played out pretty quickly. The day 2 pops were predictable for a while. The opening, I mean, if OKYO had gone live last year, I imagine they were able to at least get 1 million shares out the door and probably rip this to 10 or 12 before people bought off. But this market is pretty it's pretty punishing time right now for a lot of liquidity has been flushed out. Apparently most of the new traders that came into the market in 2000 in 2000 around the pandemic and put their COVID money into GME and playing all these squeeze plays and meme stocks have given most of their gains back. I certainly gave a lot back. Glad I just happy to have held on to a significant portion of it. But also it's a very humbling experience to be exposed to kind of the recent crash. So you learn, you take what you learn with you forward. And when I'm able to play with a degree of confidence that gives me what I feel is a bit of an edge is the debut play. After that, I've learned that kind of just guessing. So even requesting allocation, something I'm probably backing away from now more than just say $100 to see if they give me a full allocation or not, but not enough to take any substantial loss either way. Playing any kind of debut that's above what I feel is a reasonable risk tolerance is out of the question. Trying to call bottoms or reversals on these, not something that I really can, that I have any, I don't just, I haven't, I don't have any repeatable patterns that make me that. Whereas with the opening debut, there are a limited number of data points that I can reference to say that, okay, this is what I've seen that's worked 9 out of 10 times. This is a setup that does not work 9 out of 10 times. And I'm okay with missing the ones that I miss. And otherwise I watch these, and I mean, I've watched hundreds of IPOs now, and certainly doing the research and writing up the newsletters helps sort of reinforce and exercise other parts of my brain. But this is, these setups are more, limited in terms of what, what factors am I considering when these go live, compared to just about any other trading setup. And earnings reports totally like blind to me. I don't know how to do the analysis on these companies to determine whether they are good trades or not. Like you should buy before. Are the estimates on or off? How's the market going to react to them? And that's all guesswork to me. Certainly from 2016 or so. I mean, I was just lucky really to have gotten into the market while it was in a bullish trend and picked out, Facebook, PayPal, Baidu, Alibaba, picked up these growth stocks, on the cusp of a major bull run in growth markets. And that led me to the financial base that then became what I built off of, IPO trading to get to where I am now. But I was doing, I had ridden some of those growth stocks a little bit longer than I should. But some of those are just long-term positions where I was like, okay, Palantir, I bought in at the IPO or and now I'm finally down. But I used all the margin that I had in Palantir to build up this big position by IPO trading. And now I'm comfortable with just holding my, my Palantir and my QYLD positions, and using what I have. I have a pretty big position in Spirit Technologies, which I think will pay off when they get their FDA approval, but certainly bought in a little bit too early on that one. But otherwise, I like these IPO trades because they're systematic. They're they're pretty consistent, and it also keeps me from just over trading. If I really discipline myself and say, look, I trade IPOs, that is what I look for. If I'm sitting at my desk and I hear a headline on something that's like, oh, this company got FDA approval, and I'm up at 7 in the morning and I see it just spiked once, okay, I might try to just scalp that. But I'm not trying to read charts and predict models, and day trading isn't my profession. I'm really consider myself more of an analyst at this point, and try to share my information with you guys. I enjoy being part of the community. The newsletter is going to go premium pretty soon. I simply just have, I've got financial needs. I got a second daughter coming. And I think that for the value I'm bringing, people, are making more than what I'm going to charge. I know that there's a lot of newsletters out there in the $100 to $200 ranges. I'm not going to be anywhere close to that. So I hope you guys who are subscribed feel like contributing and being a part of that. Yeah, confusing, hard to guess. Stock like AGRI runs all day. MITQ falls the very next day. Similar plays to me and opposite results. AGRI, remember, that was part of a food play that was like food stocks were moving. And MITQ has so many. That was that IPO ripped. I made a good play on that. Oh no, I missed that one because I couldn't see the indication. Forget why. But yeah, I was all over that one mentally, and then I think I missed that one. MITQ was like had like they're tying it to AMC while AMC was still like a meme stock or a hot meme stock. Low float. I think that was a Bosted deal also. But that's why there was a time where I really thought I was like figuring out how to read those plays. And the only thing that I've consistently been able to identify in those kind of headline movers, those are all recent $4 or $5 low float IPOs. So the only thing I can see in those is get on, a news terminal like Benzinga is the one that I use because they give it to me because I do the weekly. But if you can afford a Bloomberg terminal, you're probably trading at a higher level than I am anyway. But I just sit there and I have my or any screener, if you set it up properly, will show you. And just be at your computer watching that screener at 7 a.m. to about 8:15 a.m. and watch for let me show you what I'm doing with Benzinga to find these, because I have been able to nail a bunch of these plays. VEDU they've just shut this one down. It's going to be at least a 30-minute halt. So Benzinga makes it super easy. I've just got my so I've got the news feed over here, and I got my screener over here. And the screener starts working at like it's working on pre-market. So I can see things in the pre-market, and it's got the 5-minute change and then the change here. So when I see something all of a sudden spike up to like a 20 or 30% run, and the percentage change in the last 5 minutes is also like kind of matches it. You're not going to see this right now because we're already in the middle of the trading day. But when I see that, I found about 3 to 6 minutes that I have to figure out what the news is. And you can jump to Twitter and put the ticker in to Twitter and see what people are saying there. Check the chart and get in a buy order. And we'll take a look at a couple of these right now just to sort of show. Okay, here we go. 1880. Trading down. VEDU is live again. Trading down. Sellers capping it at 1710 right now. Wait, that must be halted. It's either halted or okay. Yeah. Halted down to 1750. So ouch. That is why you do not buy the debuts on these, because you're just in a you don't buy a debut when a $4 IPO opens at 28. That's just insane. But what you can do is wait for the reversal. I'm not going to. Others in here, I'm very interested to know what you guys, how you guys pull that. But I'm going to pull up a few tickers and show you this thing I've been doing recently. So let me go back real quick to showing you these. All right. So what I got here is my screener over here shows me the biggest gainers. These top ones over here, you can pretty much write off because these aren't really and I wish they would fix this. They're not really 3,000% winners. These were reverse splits. And so, PTE was a 25-cent stock the other day. I'll just show you. PTE, Polaria type. See, that's just reverse split. It wasn't a real thing. Good morning. Yeah, it's a 1 for 25 reverse split. So it didn't really go from 15 cents to $3.77. It just, 25, 15 times 25? 15 times 25 is 375. So it's actually just fallen by whatever that is, 12% or whatever. So what I am looking for, oh, CRDL. This is just came up. Let's just CRDL. Just got a. Okay, this is not a low float, low dollar play, but so what's one here that just see if any of these gave us a good example of the type of plays that I'll look for with the screener. 40K volume on VEDU. Yeah, tiny volume. Could reverse at any time for sure. Okay. MTC. It is up 50% today. Why? No reason. So this isn't a good example. And it's not every day. So MKD. That's not even worth looking at. AUVI. Let's see what they. If there was a reason. VI up 36%. All right, this one. All right. So 5 hours ago, I'm guessing it was at right around right around 8 a.m. There was this headline, AUVI. Air purification products included in contract for Washington State schools. So if you saw that on the screener and it jumped up here, I would be looking to avoid the initial spike, but this right here around 130 might be a place where I go, oh, is that really worth it? Okay, it's a tiny float, 6.28 million shares. Maybe I take a starter position here at 125. Maybe I like to try to get a little bit under there. 125. Now it drops out a little bit, and I go, well, it's 8:30. The news still come up. It's really still pretty low float. That's not enough for me to sell it out yet. Maybe add a little here. The run's coming because I'm generally looking for a second leg up. And the second leg up kind of got spread out over a few jumps, but we did get this run on the open right here. Now I'm green. I'm probably sticking in a stop loss if I'm averaged down to 120. Maybe taking 130 as my stop loss. Maybe get stopped out for not really when maybe this wasn't really big enough news. You could have held a little bit longer. It's holding VWAP. It's moving up. The MACD green has been staying above. So the forget what I've got this. I get mixing these up. The MAC 10, MA 10 is over the MA 60. Those are just the ones I arbitrarily use. I like to buy that crossover. So that right there would have been a nice, actually, while green was way up here, maybe I would have waited for that crossover. Anyway, these are some of the plays that you can look for that I feel are like predictable and repeatable is that 8 a.m. headline, the 10 a.m. headline on a low float stock that's in the $1 to $3 range. So if you're looking for more ideas to trade, that's one way to take some scalps. But other than IPO trades and those morning headlines, this isn't a market where I'm trying to swing trade the growth stocks that I was buying. Last year you buy the dip. Anytime there's a dip, you buy like the hot names, and then they'd rebound and go further. And I think a lot of us developed kind of a bad habit, especially once the market turned, and we didn't really want to accept that. That those dips, dipped and started rebounding. Oh yeah, no, it's turning around now. Instead of locking in our wins, kind of ate them until they held on to them until we're eating losses. So VEDU has now halted up once. Does that mean it's going the other way? I really don't know. You like every halt at this point is guesswork. So I don't know. I simply don't know. But at this point, I think I'll take this video to how long we've been going for. All right, I'll take us to the 2 hour mark. We are currently at an hour and 50 minutes. So we'll do 10 more minutes here, guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to throw in another reminder. If you're still in this chat, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I hope the rest of you took your profits, avoided losses, and are having a great day. I like to also promote again thesound.com. You guys, just it costs nothing. Just turn on thesound.com. If you have Spotify or Apple Music, we're about to get our YouTube stuff really going. All you have to do is play the music on those platforms. Play the music, and you're helping us rescue dogs. Right now, we're contributing to Paws of War, which is an organization that helps dogs, like service dogs, with veterans, and they're helping with dog rescue efforts in Ukraine. I was lucky enough to get my dogs out of Ukraine about 2 weeks after the war started. I had already left, but I left them with friends near the border in Lviv. My friends brought them out to Budapest. I had a pretty epic journey getting them from Budapest back to where I am now in Portugal. And, you know, we're not asking you to donate anything for the sound. We're not asking you to contribute your money. We'll get the money from Apple. We'll get the money from Spotify. We'll get the money from YouTube. But just go to thesound.com, click on our links to our playlists. If you can like, subscribe, and everything you can do to help boost that, you're helping save dogs. It's, who likes to see dogs suffering in the streets? We help with surgeries. We have actually my partner has a farm down in Mexico, and he cares for about 30 to 40 dogs there, and all the money for that comes from thesound.com. So when we have extra, we find other organizations to donate to, and otherwise he's constantly interrupting whatever he's doing to take dogs in for emergency treatments, going to buy food, feeding them. It's not a small effort, but without having to ask for donations, we just ask that you donate your playlist ability on the internet to listen to some music. It's cool music anyway. So encourage you to check out thesound.com, support as you can. Okay, NASCAR All Out, trying to find the bottom on VEDU. You might still get that bottom. This one could go either way. I am hearing through people who are hearing from people that there are coordinated sell days on these Chinese IPOs. And I can only assume that this is that the IPO shares were allocated heavily to those same accounts that, same type of accounts that have run so many of these in the past, including EJH, including OST, including all of the stealth IPO debuts that we've seen. So what does that mean? That means that at some point this just falls off a cliff. Does this go to 50 before that? Maybe. Does it go to 100 before that? Maybe not, but it's not outside of the scope of of possibility. Does this end up at $1? Yes, for sure. How long will it take? Not too long. In one day, in the next, in the near future, I expect that this goes to, something obscene. It'll drop up to 90% one day. I mean, that's what we've seen. We saw JCSC, just so you guys get a clear picture of this, or OST, sorry. And this kind of thing that, I mean, a lot of us played this together in real time, so I certainly did. OST is the kind of stuff that kind of gives me PTSD when I realize that if you didn't know what you're doing or you got greedy in day 2, you really could damage yourself. Buy is tight. I don't think. I mean, it is very dangerous. I think you're talking about VEDU. I don't think you're. I don't know how you decide that this is the bottom and it's reversing. And once it already has reversed, it's kind of like you're now chasing, and we've seen these halt hard up and reverse back down just as fast as well. So, okay, so OST, this is what I want to show you. We got a great open here. It opened at 1010, ripped up to 27, and then baselined around 22, 23. Oh, BGXX, yeah. So this was actually not a pure IPO. This was a, what the heck? Oh, okay. So BGXX. Interesting. This was a direct listing. And I just didn't have enough data on it to feel very confident playing it one way or another. But yeah, this is poised to, this had a nice debut. Well, 1137. Opened at 1599. It's halted up. Probably more than not something I really wanted to get into. And I would not have gotten into it at at this price. It was priced at $8, and it's just I didn't see as far as I understand, there's none of the money is being used to raise funds for the company. It's a weed stock. Yeah, but this is what you get: low float, low volume, high premium, and now we're halted up. Will people start selling off? I don't know. Interesting. Maybe we'll stay on and see what this one does. But I got some stuff to do today. But what I really wanted to show you is OST. Opened at 10, moved up. This is where I got out on the way up. I always try to, like, that's the play for me. This right here, that's the play. This right here, that's the play. That's where that's my comfort zone. I don't know if it's going to go this way or this way. I do have a pretty good idea that it's going to go up initially. So this one traded up and then it got wind. It traded all the way up and closed, I think, at 43.97 right after at 401. And then in pre-market, it went up to 56. Got a little run here out of the open and kind of held. A stop loss, even a stop loss can't necessarily protect you here. And it's moving so much. I don't know where you set your stop loss, but if you put your stop loss below the halt, you're not going to get sold out until the halt opens. And your stop loss might even get canceled based on what broker you have. You're not allowed to set stop losses with E-Trade during a halt. So once you know that we're already playing with fire, knowing that this is, we all bought in on this one at $10. It was a $4 IPO. We already know that we're playing with fire. We're already buying something for way more than it's worth, and knowing that it's going to end up at, where is it now, 234. We all know where it's going, but we're just expecting, we're hoping that there's going to be some upside movement. The most predictable is these halts up off the open. After that, it's very unpredictable, and you're really, you're flipping a coin. When I was playing with bigger share sizes, when I was able to buy 2,000 shares of this, I'd sell half of it out of the first halt, half out of the second halt, or maybe like 40%, 50%, 30%, and hold 20% to see if I got something. But at that point, it's house money. So if you do want to venture into these later stages of the game, ideally, you're taking some profits off the table along the way. PGXX definitely snuck up. I had this on my radar from last week. I did not have a very high. And the float actually was advertised as like 155 million shares. So I don't, there's no news on it. So yeah, the float was supposedly much higher than it's indicating here. And Webull doesn't have accurate stats on it, so I'm okay with missing this one. I don't care if it goes to 50 or 60. It wasn't one that I wanted to get in on. Anyway, my point is, at this point, just because something's moving, just because sometimes they go way up, sometimes you're just guessing. So guessing is not a very sound strategy, in my opinion. I like to have a hypothesis that I'm working with that's saying, okay, I'm buying this because I believe, this is what's going to happen. And when I don't get that, I can therefore be more prepared for reacting to a broken hypothesis. Whereas at this point, you're just kind of guessing, like, no, VEDU will turn around, or no, it won't. I don't know. But I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay online here till we get out of the VEDU halt. Um, I'm certainly gonna come back and be watching BGXX. I would not chase here, guys. It is my rule number 2. Yes, it could fly, but I just don't want to chase anything. If you got in at 15.99, congratulations. What does this order book look like? I don't know. It's pretty hard to see. Okay, now we're getting some sellers coming in, but no real volume available till 50, 70. This could open at a really crazy price, in which case we'll be in halt for a long time. I want to see VEDU open, and then I will probably shut this down. We've hit the 2-hour mark. So again, thanks for joining, guys. Like, subscribe, spread the word. Some very kind people helped with the streaming gear. Yes, and I very much appreciate that, you guys. The key piece was the this lens, which allows me to be in pretty dark conditions while still being able to see me. And another key piece is this microphone was provided by Benzinga. They also provided me with this overhead monitor, which is a little monitor that I just keep tickers on that allows me to spread my desk around. I can also, put myself up there and just check my eyebrows, make sure I look good or not too bad. Unfortunately, so much of what I was able to get from the streaming stuff is now in Kiev. I could not bring everything with me, particularly like the nice lighting and everything. I brought a few of the smaller lights, but the bigger lights that had been a key part of kind of adding some professionalism to it. The support from the IPO Warriors community, both in getting the gear, was much appreciated, and the support even in the last few months. We've had some people really step in, and when after we took the wins on GCSE and we took the wins on OST, there were some contributions that have really kind of everything. I'm having to buy everything that we had paid for. We had cribs, we had strollers, we had changing tables, we had all that stuff, and we still have it in Kiev, but I don't think we're going to be able to go get it. And now we're having to buy more stuff again that we already own, and it's not for parties and luxury items. It's for basic necessities, mostly for my children. So, that's one of the great things about being part of a community. I definitely feel supported by, supported in my wins, supported in my losses, supported in life. So, there are more important things to trading, but this has been a great, social resource for myself as well. All right, so we are hearing indication of 2150. That is for BGXX. Yeah, a halt around, the next 10% leg up would be probably way too much sooner than what previously I'm using Tnon as my template. Yeah, I've just seen so many go so many different ways that I can't. Okay, BGXX would have been, that was the AERC setup. That's what we're seeing right now, and that's why anticipating a further run up with such a thin sell order over there really could be. There's no way I'm chasing at this point. As I understand it, the float on this, which isn't showing here unfortunately, is like 150 million shares. It's a direct listing, so it's very possible that people who got who. So direct listing is different than an IPO. I think this is review for a lot of you, but for any of you who are still here who aren't familiar, a direct listing is when a company says, we're not going to issue any new shares, we're not going to raise any money. We're just like going to market. Anybody who wants to sell their shares, who is an insider, an employee, an investor, you guys can sell your shares now on the market. But I don't know that the process for getting your shares into a trading platform is all that smooth, especially for something that's not. I think the last ones we saw were like MNDY, Monday.com. Palantir was a direct listing. Roblox was a direct listing. And those were very institutional level IPOs. In others, they were working with key underwriters, and the floats were not constrained. Here, we really could have a situation where a lot of people who have shares are unable to sell them on day one. Sometimes it takes a day for these things to clear through their brokerage accounts, or they're not even aware of how to do it, or there are clearly going to be some people selling, but the volume here is insanely low. I mean, you saw OKYO was low, and we still had 30 or 110,000 shares traded. I think OST was 98,000. JCSC, I think, was 33, 35,000, something like that. But yeah, the history repeats itself. To me, the opening, yes. After that, less certain. God, VEDU has just been in halts all day. I mean, you see that it's only really traded for 5 minutes since it's 11 o'clock open. Crazy. And another thing for me is when I'm trading IPOs, I really try to, once I'm done for the day, like stop trading, because you're the intensity level, the speed at which you're making decisions here is far more intense than normal trading, and I don't want to be in that mindset, taking that mindset to to the normal market, because I start wanting things to move really fast and halt and like get instant gratification with my decision, whereas that's not not generally how things work in the opening market. So, or in open trading. So, I'd really like to see where these open. At least one of these, having waited this long. Let's see if we get some kind of run. OKYO still kind of holding out in that 410 range, reaching 1.5 million shares. We haven't had a major shareholder like really dump at this point, it looks like, but the bid side is starting to dry up. When I start seeing the bottom of the bid barrel, I don't like that. That means demand is drying up, and maybe some accumulation here, but we're above the IPO price, so any real sign of weakness could bring some panic selling from IPO allocations, saying, time to lock in my win. You would think that they had stop losses set where they can lock in profits, but no guarantee of that. 1137. I may run out of patience here. Okay, what time is it in the East Coast? JPOW is going to speak at 2 o'clock, so I kind of expect a lot of things to come crashing down after that, since every time he opens his mouth, he seems to destroy my portfolio. Not a bad time. You can look at see what's been heavily shorted, because shorts start to cover into these events. Sales, whatever. I'm surprised it's still where it's at. All right, we got. Looks like VEDU did open up, or was that where we were before? Yeah. VEDU opened up for a split second, opened at 2230. Now it touched 2430, dropped down to 2070, and is either, what is it? It's not halted. It just, that's a huge spread. Not many shares. I mean, the spread between the buy and the ask is huge. This will be very difficult to trade. you're going to be sitting on, and this is when I looked at Trade Zero, and Trade Zero said that it's only free trading on limit orders where you don't put your limit at the current bid or ask price, which means that right now you'd have to put, you've got a spread here, 21.40 on the bid. If you want to place a bid, you'd have to put your bid at 21.30, which means you basically have to let somebody else sit in front of you on the, on the order book. And for trading these kinds of stocks, that's not really, if you were trying to get out of this position, you don't want to have to sit on the other side. You want to say, okay, I'm ready to get out. I'll put I'm ready to get in. I'm going to go above the current bid by however much. But yeah, this is moving like on very, very thin volume still. I mean, we are nearly an hour into trading, and we've only seen 100,000 shares move, and we've been halted the whole time. Just halt with huge bids. I mean, one order can send this into a halt one way or the other. Someone decides to sell 5,000 shares, it's just going to drop down to like 18. Look how many shares you'd shoot through so many orders just to get rid of 5,000 shares. Same way the other way. If someone wants to just spike this, they go buy, 25, 30 shares and bring it up to 23 and send a halt that way. So this is not something that I would enjoy trading at this point. If you're trying to call it one way or another, good luck. If you can find this and short it and can hold through a run, it's dangerous either way. There's all that I know is that this is a company that owns, a couple schools in Canada and like some animation courses. Why is that worth, where do we have market cap right now? Just on the float from the, just for what the IPO was, it's what, 4.3 million times 20. You're telling me there's an $86 million school? I don't know. I don't know if the economics behind schools or animation studios in Canada are I can tell you they're not worth that much, and the ultimate float is bigger than that. So we have a very expensive school right now. We're talking about BJXX. That's just going to be a crazy one. I am not going to try to guess where that one goes. I don't want any part of it, but I can see we're down to 14 people watching, and I got stuff to do. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate you joining me. Look forward to next time. I don't see any other IPOs on the calendar for this week, but we know that can change very quickly. So let's break here. Good luck, everybody, and see you all next time. Cheers.